the difference in lift. Now, I like teaching this way. This is just kind of cool. I think it's a good way to get people to understand. So I use this first scenario, hover with no wind. If you think about you're out in a helicopter, you're in a hover, no wind, and we're just going to use a random number of 400 for blade tip speed. There is not an advancing blade and there's not a retreating blade. And we all think that it is because we always think advancing blade, retreating blade. But at this point, if there was no wind, you really wouldn't have an advancing blade or a retreating blade. So your tip speed's 400, you're in a hover, no wind. You go to the next scenario, think about being in a hover with 30 knots of wind coming at you. So the green arrow represents the wind coming right at the aircraft. You now have an advancing blade. You have the advancing blade on this side. Your tip speed at 400 plus 30 would make that 430 is your tip speed. Then over here on this side, this is moving away from the wind. This is the retreating blade. So you take the 30 knots of wind minus the tip speed and makes that 370. So there it starts your difference in lift. There starts your dissymmetry of lift. It's small, but it is a difference of lift. So then when you move to the next one, so then we use our scenario here, forward flight at 100 knots, same thing again. You got the aircraft moving forward through the air at 100 knots. So you have the 400 tip speed over here, plus the 100 of your forward speed. That makes that side 500. Retreating side now is clear down to 300 because you got the tip speed of 400. You're moving through the air at 100 knots. That makes that tip speed. You can see now, the faster you go, 100 knots, depending on what you're flying. Of course, we know, your B&E could be 89, it could be 120, depends on what you're flying. But that's a good way to show somebody difference in lift. And you can, take this as far as you want with advancing blade, retreating blade, and there's all kinds of other things you can talk about. But I like introducing this to students when you're first trying to explain the symmetry of lift, and you can talk about other things as well. But remember, I know in the beginning you're overwhelmed with how to teach this stuff, and you're going to have the tendency to jump in there and then you're going to go get all crazy with stuff. So try to remember when you're preparing these lessons